you've seen a lot of speakers. Let's talk about mistakes that they tend to make on the platform when they're delivering that you observe.
Oh, just walking up and thanking everyone for being here. I'm so glad to be here. This is, I think you just get right into the talk. So I think as soon as you start in that more traditional way, people just go to sleep. So I'm trying not to have people go into the trance that most of them do.
So if I introduce you on the stage and I say, yada, 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 ladies and gentlemen, please, warm round of applause, Dr. Rob Pennington. You come out, clap, clap, clap.
My purpose is to transform the quality of the rest of your life before 1 o'clock.
So you go right into it.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. And that's the idea of my purpose, it's a you-oriented statement. You're really, promising them.
Right, and what happens is they'll react, and I'll say, so how many of you think that's even possible? Okay, well, listen, for those of you who think it's not possible, it's not, okay? People who think it's possible, hey, we got something going here. Because we make these judgments immediately about what's right or wrong, good or bad, possible for me, possible for someone else. And if I said I could transform the quality of your life, you made a judgment about that, and that's going to influence not only what you have happen here, but might influence you in the future. Because frankly, all it's going to require is one idea.
So now you're talking to them and you're in it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Anything else you see with speakers you've observed, mistakes they make?
Too choreographed, too self-aware of their movements. I think some of that comes from historically watching very charismatic speakers and taking apart what they do, and then if I do that, then I'll be charismatic, raising my voice at the right time, lowering my hand, moving back and forth. I think it loses a naturalness. I think you could still have a knowledge of that, but I think audiences are more sophisticated today. They want someone who's just going to come out and be real. And not give me a canned presentation that's going to be exactly the same no matter who you're with. Mm-hmm. They want to have some relationship. They want to have some connectedness. That's why I'm meeting everybody beforehand.
If somebody were to come to you and say, I want to be really, really good at connecting with the audience, and here you are, a psychologist, you know all the things, hopefully.
Yes, I know all
the
things.
answers, know the answers. But if you were to rattle off as many quick ideas, almost like a checklist of things, techniques that obviously have to be done right, have to be done in an authentic way, but there are things that, when you do these things, they help you connect.
Wherever you're speaking is your living room. You relate to it that way. You relate to the audience as your personal guests. I think that's fundamental. Make sure that I'll go around straightening chairs. Gives me a chance to bless every one of them too. I'll make sure everything's right where I want it. I'll get there early enough to make sure that happens hours beforehand. Then I'll welcome everybody. And we're already having a conversation before I start. The introduction's kind of sometimes in the way. And I'm open to it changing in the minute. I mean, I gave a Sunday sermon once, and I had it all down to a T. I had it written down more than I normally do. I really wanted to have a big impact. And as I'm sitting there and they're singing the song before I'm supposed to start, it changed everything. That song just opened up a whole nother possibility for me, and I probably ended up doing 50% of what I planned, and 50% that was about that song. And, I think, obviously I couldn't have prepared that, and I think if you're real and alive and affected by what's going on, the audience is like, whoa, they're with you, and they're awake and want to know where you're going and how you're going to do it. And the other thing is be willing to be vulnerable. Be willing to say where you're not good and what your mistakes are, because people want to identify with you. They don't want to see you on a pedestal. You want to say, I'm going through the stuff too. I'm slugging through this and that, and I'm having this trouble, I'm in this trouble, whatever. And so the more you're real in that way, and yet you also have something of value to share that's making a difference for you, I think that's the greatest gift you can give as a speaker. is just to say, I'm just a few steps down the road here, and I want to show you watch out for that, and avoid this, and like in school, an older brother, don't be mean to that teacher, and little things like that. I think make people feel good. The other thing is, for me personally, I pray. I like to take a moment to talk to the audience before I open my mouth. And give them the idea that I want to communicate. And in my view of things, there's no resistance to it at that point. And then whatever resistance there may be, to me, just tells me where they are in their readiness to accept the idea, assuming that it has value and truth. And doesn't have a whole lot to do with me, or even maybe how good a speaker I am. It tells me a lot more about, is this the 100th time they've heard it, and now it's thrilling because it awakened in their mind? Or maybe this is the first time they've heard it, and oh no, this can't be true, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so I'm also really looking at the audience. This is something that I didn't do early on, because I didn't want to see the negativity sometimes. But now that I see it, and it helps me see questions. It helps me hear resistance, or it helps me see where they're having struggles with something, and I can speak to that. And I wouldn't even know when I was doing it. My business partner once was saying, Rob, doing this, you did this, and that's normally not what you do. Why did you do that? And I was like, I don't know. He said, no, why? And I slowed down and thought about it, and I said, well, when you were talking, I looked at that person's face, and it made me think they were having this question, and so I answered the question.
And that's something that's different that you've done over time. You've gotten, so when you see the people they don't seem like they're listening.
Sometimes I'll just stop. I mean, I remember doing a training for a board of directors for Hospital Corporation of America. I mean, it's one of the hugest in the country. And I just wasn't feeling right or something like that, And I just said a break and said, I don't know if anybody else is feeling this. It's just me or what, but I don't know, is this going okay? Are you all up with what I'm talking about here? And they said, we've been talking about that. I went, okay, good. I'm glad I brought it up. So what is it? We said, well, we're just really confused about what's your spiritual take on everything you're saying? I was like, well, I didn't. I'm surprised. That's not normally what someone would ask in this kind of environment. So you want to know what I was just saying, but you want to know it from a spiritual point of view. And they said, yeah, we've been talking about that. And I said, okay. Well, so I just backed up and ran it through from that point of view. And we're like, wow, wonderful, thank you.